What's up, guys? It's Jacob with the Degenerate Gambling Life, and today we're going to be ranking the top tight ends in Dynasty Fantasy Football. And I think this is a really important video, and that's why it's a standalone video for us, because of how prominent tight end premium is becoming with 1.5 points per reception at the tight end position. So it's really important to get the tight end position right. So today we're going to be ranking the top 20 tight ends in Dynasty formats. First tier, we have Laporta, Kincaid, and McBride. Here, no surprise with Laporta. He's only 23 years old and coming off a tight end 1 overall season last year, so there's nothing to rock the boat with here. We're going to keep him at number 1. He's going to be a great tight end for a decade in Detroit. At 2, I got Kincaid. He was only the tight end 11 last year, but obviously Buffalo believes in him by shipping off Stephon Diggs. That means the volume has to go somewhere. I think the majority of that is going to be with Kincaid. Clearly, they have trust in him to produce this season, and I'm really looking forward to what he can do going forward. Then we have Trey McBride, a great player. I like him a lot. I would really target one of these two guys, either Kincaid or McBride. McBride coming off a tight end 7 season, but he was elite with Kyler Murray last year. So definitely look to pick up McBride if you can. Then moving on to tier 2, we have Kyle Pitts. I know a lot of you don't like Kyle Pitts. You've had a lot of bad experiences with him in the past, but he's getting a new coaching staff, a new quarterback in Kirk Cousins, who just made TJ Hawkinson the number 1 tight end in points per game last season in PPR formats. He's only 23 years old, and he was tight end 13 overall last year. I think he's going to be very relevant for competing teams and a very good player for a long time. And then closing out tier 2, we have Brock Bowers. He's only 21 years old. He's an elite prospect. It's kind of funny. Him and Pitts are probably the top 2 prospects at the position in the last decade, and I think we have to have him in the top 5 in Dynasty for that reason. Moving on to tier 3, we have Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, Travis Kelce, and George Kittle. With Andrews, you're getting an elite player. He's still only 28 years old, and he was only the tight end 15 last year, but that was because of a devastating injury that he suffered. He should be back to 100% this season, and he's going to give you another 3 or 4 years of elite production. If you are competing, I would have him higher. If you're not looking to compete right off the bat, then maybe draft someone who's a little younger, wait till tier 4, tier 5 to start picking up tight ends, but I have no problem drafting Andrews in this range. Then for me, it's going to be TJ Hawkinson. He showed how good he can be, but he is taking a step down at the quarterback position, and he is coming off an injury. So definitely, if you're looking to build for value, build for the future, I like Hawkinson a lot. But if you're competing, this might not be the year to be holding Hawkinson. And then Kelce, he's the ultimate if you're competing guy. Definitely you can't invest in him long term because he is 34 years old already, the oldest tight end on this list by a pretty wide margin. And so with Kelce, you're going to get a couple more years of elite production probably. You never know, but he's still probably going to be a great player next year and the year after. And then after that, he could be retiring, hanging it up. So you got to be careful with him, but he's still in this top 10 conversation. Then moving on to George Kittle, he's 30 years old, so he's getting up there in age now, but he is coming off the tight end 5 season. I think he's got a few more good years ahead of him, so definitely don't be shy to take George Kittle in this range. Then in tier 4, we have a guy I really like. Start off with David Njoku, only 27 years old, coming off a tight end 6 season, which he looked completely dominant. It's really going to come down to quarterback play because he did put up a lot of his production with Joe Flacco, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can do the same with Deshaun Watson back from injury. It's a dice roll, but I think that David Njoku is just too talented to hold down, and he's got 5 more years of good production ahead of him. So definitely you can build around him and this next guy on the list. I like Jake Ferguson quite a bit. He's only 25. He finished as a tight end 9 last season, so there's definitely a lot of value in this range with Ferguson. I think that's another player who could take an even bigger step forward this season. Working with Dak in a contract year, Dak's going to be throwing the ball a lot, and he likes Jake Ferguson, especially around the goal line. So definitely look to scoop Ferguson if you can. Moving on, we have Evan Ingram. This guy's coming off the tight end 2 season, but he is a little bit older on the age side at 29. So you got to be careful because how much more production does he have? although they did lose Calvin Ridley and replaced him with Brian Thomas Jr., so his production should remain about the same because he should be getting similar volume again this year. And with Ingram, I think that's a guy that you can really build around in tight end premium formats, and definitely a guy if you're competing that you're going to want to have on your roster. So definitely look to scoop him up if you have a chance at competing this season. And then in tier 5, we have Pat Freiermuth, Cole Kmet, Isaiah Likely, Dallas Goedert, and Dalton Schultz. And what I'll say about this tight end group as a whole is that these are definitely guys you want to be targeting to be your tight end 2. If you have the luxury of picking them up as a tight end 3, these are great pieces to have on your roster. A lot of these guys' values will only climb in the next few years, and you can trade them to get better talent on your team. So definitely these are the kind of guys in your mid rounds of your dynasty drafts where the other managers are kind of not doing the homework, where you can snipe some of these guys and really have good building blocks for success in dynasty, especially with a guy like Isaiah Likely. I really covet him in drafts because he's so valuable. He has standalone value as it is, but when he gets those opportunities, when Mark Andrews does move on, this guy's going to be a superstar and has top 5 tight end potential. So you definitely want to be scooping some of these guys up if you can in those mid rounds of your draft, especially in tight end premium formats, and they could be relevant flex players for you or trade chips that you can use to acquire more talent in the future. And then tier 6 is the final 3 guys we're going to look at. These are the rookies and young players that you're going to want to scoop and throw darts at. Hopefully they'll pan out for you, starting with Ben Sano, then Jatavion Sanders, and Luke Musgrave. These are all guys who have a lot of talent and could become very good players in the NFL. You pick these guys and hope that they pan out because that is how you have success in Dynasty. If you hit on one of these rookies and they go from being a tier 6 guy to a tier 2 guy, then wow, you've really increased the value of your team. And that's what the name of the game in Dynasty, increasing the value of your team so that you can acquire better pieces when you're competing. So get these guys later in your draft. Definitely scoop them up if you can at that point, and then hope that they pan out and trade them for better assets in the future or compete with them. So that's going to wrap it up for us on this tight end video. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer them. And if you made it this far, give us a like and a subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Thank you guys.